Hi everybody, this is Angel Arts, and the time has come once again for another reaction video. One of my viewers, Kendra, was so kind enough to point out that a new teaser trailer for the upcoming Dragon Age game, the fourth Dragon Age game, was just released during the 2018 Game Awards, and I wanted to take some time to check it out. It's a relatively short, it's just a teaser trailer, so I'm not really sure how much we'll be able to see and how much I'm actually going to be able to comment on, but I'll try to comment on as much as I can. Obviously, because this is a trailer of the fourth game, it probably may contain spoilers from any of the previous games, so just use your discretion on that. As you can see, myself and Cullen, both in t-shirt form and in plushie form, are ready to go, as well as my amazing Alistair. We are ready to view this, so let's go ahead and check it out. Oh, BioWare! I am so excited for this. It sounds a lot like Mass Effect, though. The music has a bit of a Mass Effect feel. I don't know if that was on purpose or... Oh, is that... Darkspawn? I don't think that's a Darkspawn. Ooh, that looks like Lyrium. Oh, that's Red Lyrium. Oh, that's the idol. I think that's the idol. Yeah, I mean, that obviously that's Red Lyrium, and I can see... Oh, that's gotta be Solus. Yes.
I suspect you have questions.
Yeah, very much so. The Dreadwolf rises. Oh, yes. Okay. So, all right. Well, we pretty much, that little teaser pretty much confirmed a lot of what most of us, I think, were probably predicting that the next game was going to be about, because of how the previous game had ended, how Inquisition had ended. Obviously, if you guys have not played up to those 3 games and you don't want to spoil yourselves, don't keep going. So clearly there's a lot of emphasis on, well, there were 3 main things if we look carefully at that image. There was obviously the Red Lyrium idol in the center, and I am almost positive that is the same idol that that Varric's brother had acquired in the Deep Roads back in Dragon Age 2. So we've got more ties. Dragon Age 2. It's interesting because, we ended up with our main villain in Dragon Age Inquisition coming from Dragon Age 2, and now clearly this idol, I believe it's the same idol, is coming also from Dragon Age 2. So even though Dragon Age 2 was probably, for many people, not for everybody, but for many people, Dragon Age 2 I think was people's least favorite Dragon Age game, it's really interesting that they're still drawing a lot from that game. So that looks like Red Lyrium of some sort is going to be some sort of focus on the plot, which I think is really cool. And then, of course, the next thing that you've discovered from the trailer is you hear the voice of Solus, and I'm almost positive that figure on the left is supposed to be Solus, especially because, well, it's hashtag the Dreadwolf Rises. So is that the name of the game? Dragon Age The Dreadwolf Rises? It's a pretty long name, but as we know from what the Dreadwolf is wanting to do, he's wanting to merge Thedas back with the Fade, or merge the Fade and Thedas back together, since that's how they originally were, I think, before the veil was put up. So it's a little different from what Corypheus was trying to do, at least the motivation behind it is different, and I don't know if this is meant to imply that that Solus is necessarily going to be the big bad. My prediction is that Solus being the big bad is gonna be a red herring. I think it's a little too obvious going into the game right from the beginning, knowing, Solus is the one that we're gonna have to defeat at the end. So that makes me think, no, I think there's probably gonna be something else. Like, something else is going to be the ultimate big bad, if there is going to be a big bad. Though I always find it interesting if a game is somehow able to create a satisfying climax that doesn't necessarily involve a big bad. But at any rate, it would be really interesting to have the game start out, maybe the first half, making you think that you're supposed to go against Solus, but then maybe you find out, you learn something, and then Solus ends up joining you. Kind of like how Loghain can join you, even though it seemed like for most of the game, they sort of at least tried to paint Loghain as the bad guy for a good number of the first game. So that would be really interesting. I obviously would love to find out what role the Inquisitor is going to play, because we know that the Inquisitor is still around. I very much doubt that we're going to play as the Inquisitor during this game. And quite frankly, to be honest, I don't want to play the Inquisitor. I really like the idea of, playing a completely different character, a completely new hero in Thedas, and just having the Inquisitor appear very similar to how Hawke appeared in the second game. And that's the other thing I was thinking. If Hawke survived during the events of Dragon Age Inquisition, would we be able to see Hawke? But I guess more so, to be perfectly honest, what I would be really excited about, and I don't know if I'm in the minority in this, but I would be way more excited, more so than having our Inquisitor appear again, having Hawke appear again, is having my Warden appear again. Just because, that whole nostalgia factor of having the original hero, if you play through the games from the beginning, from Origins, having the original hero actually make an appearance to come back. Again, this is also will be dependent on whether or not the hero Ferelden from the original Origins campaign is still alive, versus if, that one died and then the new, I think, Orlesian Warden ended up taking over. So, they would have to account for that. And I'm sure some people are wondering, well, how are they going to pull that off? Because, they don't necessarily know what the Warden looks like. Well, that's how they handled Hawke. You could modify Hawke's appearance before he appeared in Dragon Age Inquisition, so they could do the exact same thing for the Grey Warden, and you could assign the Grey Warden their own voice. And this is, again, one of those things that I felt they should do in this game if they ever bring back not just the Warden, but if they ever bring back Hawke or the Inquisitor again. Let us control at least some parts of the dialogue of that character, even though we're not actually controlling, Hawke or Warden or the Warden, or even if we're not controlling the Inquisitor as our playable character. At least give us an ability to control some of their dialogue that may help define their personality. Because I think that was the missing piece that was in Inquisition, is I really believe they should have let us have more freedom in having the dialogue choices for our Hawke, because many of us have played Hawke in Dragon Age 2, and because Hawke is basically, we were the ones who kind of defined their personality and their character, I think that it would go a long way to give the player the freedom to continue defining, some of the things that they say or do, because it's a continuation, that legacy, as you go through the game. So anyway, I don't want to get too much more into the mechanics of that, but that is one of the things that I would love to see, is having some role played by the Grey Warden, Hawk, and the Inquisitor in some form. They don't have to be huge, but at minimum it'd be great to see the Grey Warden back again, because there were references to him or her in Inquisition. He or she was active doing something. I would love to find out what that something is, and if it has anything to do with this plot, that would be super cool. It would be really interesting to see how, if your Inquisitor were to come back, like how that would help affect or dictate the way that we handle Solas, because your Inquisitor at the end of the Inquisition DLCs, the Trespasser DLC, your Inquisitor could be like, the main motivation would be to help Solas, or their main motivation could be to seek revenge on Solas, or their main motivation could be not necessarily revenge, but to take out Solas in some way for the good of Thedas, even if it means having to kill him. Or it would be really awesome, though I don't know how the game would handle this mechanically moving forward when we start going into future Dragon Age games. It would also be interesting if our character agreed with Solas and agreed, hey, you know what? Originally the world was this way. Originally that was how the world was intended to be, having the Fade and Thedas in one place before the separation happened. This is how it naturally was. You know, there is an argument that be said, maybe it's time to merge those two back in, since that's how it was supposed to be, that's the way it was. Yes, people will die. Yes, a lot of creatures will die, but like, if you're able to pull yourself out of that and look a little bit more bigger picture and look at it, not unfortunately from a standpoint of, you know, what may or may not be the best overall, you could argue what is or isn't the best. Like, I think it would be really interesting if you had a character that actually agreed with Solas's attitude. But I highly doubt that'll be the case. I highly doubt it, because I feel like the game, in my opinion, unfortunately, the game will sort of paint Solas's plan and motivation as being evil or wrong. And we might not have a choice in that matter, but we'll see. The last one is, it looked like a demonic looking creature up on the upper right hand corner. Maybe that's supposed to be the actual big bad. It kind of reminds me, when I'm looking at it, it sort of reminds me of a cross between the Fear Demon, if you remember, the Fear Demon when you end up going into the Fade, a cross between that and a wolf. So maybe that's the Dread Wolf, maybe that's Solas's true form. But you also can see, like, there's like trees around him and there's flames around him, and I don't know if there's like a significance to the like kind of spiky things that's sort of around this circle that the idol is in. So the trees, I don't know if that's supposed to look like the structures in the Fade that look like trees, or what, you know, where the Illuvion network is, and all the flames. I mean, that might just imply renewal, rebirth. I'm not sure. But in addition to that, the other thing that we kind of have a huge prediction on, that has nothing to do with anything that the trailer showed, is that Tevinter is going to play a very big role, probably as big of a role as Orlais did in Inquisition. And if that's the case, I am so excited, because I feel like so much of Tevinter is sort of shrouded in this mystery. And granted, we did learn a lot about Tevinter through the codexes and also through Dorian in the third game, but I don't think we ever really got to see much of it at all. So just being able to travel to places in the Tevinter Imperium and being able to see all of the, like, from what I've read in like wiki pages, Tevinter's like architecture, for example, is so different from, say, Orlesian architecture or Ferelden architecture or Antivan architecture. So I just really want to get immersed in that new area and that new culture, and like meeting more people other than Dorian. Like, was Dorian really that much of an anomaly compared to the vast majority of mages? Or, you know, are you going to find really what I would expect to be a very diverse, you know, diverse set of characters and personalities and attitudes and motivations amongst the Tevinter mages, or non-mages even? So I think that in and of itself, just exploring Tevinter is going to be super interesting, because the lore behind that area I just always found really fascinating. I would love, love, love to learn more about the Black Divine, which is what everybody else calls the Divine in Tevinter. The Tevinter Imperium doesn't call their Divine the Black Divine, but everybody else does. So I want to find out how much that we've learned about Tevinter are more influenced by society and may not necessarily be completely true, and are more like myths based on the way that Tevinter tends to be painted in society outside of its walls. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about there, and I'm really excited to get more news over the next year, learning more about the characters, nor learning more about the possible story without giving too much plot, learning more about, you know, the new game mechanics that we're going to have. Are we still going to be able to choose between 4 races, you know, elves, dwarves, humans, and Qunari? I hope so. Are we still going to be choosing just the 3 classes? Probably still just mage, rogue, and warrior, but I don't know, they might surprise us and give us a whole new class. I mean, that would be really cool. I think it's about time that we have a possible new class, and I don't know if there are any other possible races beside the 4 that we've got so far, but you know, it would be really neat to see what kind of shiny new things they're going to put into this game. But rest assured that I plan on being very active when it comes to Dragon Age 4 news, since it is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it has a very huge presence and influence on my channel specifically, just because I love the game and BioWare so much. So hopefully you guys are excited, hopefully you guys are pumped for more Dragon Age 4 videos and analyses to come. I would love to do another character analysis again as we get more information on our party members, just like I did in Inquisition before Inquisition came out. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. And I think that's about it. So thank you guys so much for watching my thoughts and my reaction to the first official Dragon Age 4 teaser trailer. Let me know down in the comments any of your thoughts on the trailer. Were there other things that I missed while I was sort of kind of soft analyzing the trailer there? And what are some of the things that you predict for Dragon Age 4? What are some of the things that you look forward to the most in Dragon Age 4? And things of that nature. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, love yourselves, love each other.